What's up, party animals? My name is Kezi, and today I wanted to talk about something that I kind of mentioned last video, was living with furries. So previously I was talking about Telegram and how important it is to furries, and I mentioned my roommates use Telegram. And that's because for the past half decade, I've actually been living with furries. When I was first getting into the fandom, this was like the biggest thing. It's like, oh yeah, furry house. You know, I wanted to live in a furry house. I want to live that furry lifestyle. And now I've been doing it for a while. And it's mixed. So, you know, I've lived with regular roommates before. And now, while it wasn't, you know, a big house like this, I haven't lived in like a TikTok house, but I lived with my best friend, and that had its own real life considerations. But furries are different. Furries, you don't know them a lot of times. There's this kind of level of immediate trust where it's just like, you're a furry, I'm a furry, you need a roommate, I need a roommate, let's live together. And then you kind of figure out that that wasn't a good idea, but at the same time, sometimes it's the most fun. So I first got into living with furries when I got an app called Howler. Now, this app was really a precursor to Bark, which I've talked about in a previous video. And I matched up with someone who was doing a fur meet, and I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, let's hang out. And then at that fur meet, I actually met someone else who just happened to be looking for a roommate. And I thought, wow, that's perfect. I'm looking to move out. And so we ended up living together. And that was the start of a 5-year experience. And it's been wild. And honestly, while it is this kind of crazy furry thing, it's still just life. You're living life, human, normal life, but with a little bit of a extra furry flair, if you will. Because unfortunately, I've never been able to live with multiple fursuiters, and that seems to be what people really imagine. The fursuits are front and center and really exciting. And when I first lived with furries, I did live with a fursuiter, but I didn't have mine. And what's funny is I helped them, you know, suit up for fur meets. I helped them film TikToks or just fix up the suit in general. And now I don't live with fursuiters, but I am the fursuiter. And so the role is like 180'd. I'm now the one getting help suiting up for fur meets and making the videos and fixing my suit. I forgot words. Honestly, I still really want to live that dream where everybody in the house is a fursuiter, but fursuits are expensive and so is rent. Speaking of like fur meets and stuff like that, one of the things that is true is, you know, fursuit or not, everyone kind of has their own perspective on the fandom. My current roommate is big into photography, so she goes to a lot of events to go take pictures of the furries. And so I'll learn about things that I didn't know about. I'm kind of deep into the underground, and so, you know, I'll learn about private parties and you know, different kind of furry shows. And my other roommate is even a different thing entirely. We'll all pool together what we know about the local community, the local scene, and we'll all end up going to different furry events, pooling together on, you know, if we're roommates here, we can be roommates at a con. And so you do kind of end up going to more things. You kind of do more furry things because you all have this different, slightly different perspective on day-to-day furry life. And with day-to-day furry life, one of the things that happened really early on, as soon as I started living with furries, was I took on the name Kezi in day-to-day life. And now that's just what people call me. If I'm not at work or dealing with legal matters, I'm Kezi. For all purposes. I'll sometimes refer to my legal name as my dead name by mistake. It's not, it's just not what I go by anymore. And I think that's one of the craziest things. And I do the same for others. All my roommates go by their furry name. And it's super weird when they do call themselves by their real name. And part of me wants to live in that fantasy, if you will, of just like, hey, yeah, we all have furry names. We're all this secret society or whatever you want to call it. Now, names are fun, but we live in a house, and, furries do love their art. And one of the things that I've done is I collect body pillows, as some people have pointed out. And they actually make great wall scrolls. I have a ton of them all around the house. I've gotten like animal themed blankets that I'll put up on the walls to keep the sound kind of dampened from echoes. I have a lot more of those. We have posters. Like framed posters from big cons that we've had set up before. We have all sorts of stuff just around the house that's super furry decoration. If someone was to walk over, I have a few things that I don't want strangers to see, but I also have just tons of other art. So when other furries come over, it's definitely a very welcoming, like, OMG, this is a furry house kind of atmosphere. And I really try to promote that wherever I go. And now, with any place you live with roommates, there's hardships. Again, this is just living life, but with furries. And there has been a lot of problems in the past. My first roommate was really toxic. I've butt heads with previous roommates. I've butt heads with current roommates. And I think the biggest thing that you'll find with furries is that I think there's an extremely forgiving atmosphere because, at the end of the day, we're still furries. We can't just let each other down because we have this such a core and deep thing in common. And so it's like, well, we disagree on dishes or some generic thing, but that's not going to get in between us wanting to live a life that's accepting. I have heard of people who have roommates that are unaccepting of the furry fandom, or parents. A lot of people in the modern day are living with their parents, and some of them aren't accepting of furries, and the others just aren't convenient to be furry. I can't leave my cute pillows out, that's embarrassing. When my roommates walk in my bedroom and they see me doing this, it's a lot less weird. And so, I think that a lot of the downsides are made up for with an understanding of who we are. Of we are both furries. And that's huge. Having someone who understands you, maybe not at a deep emotional level like, a partner, but someone who is just like, yeah, we're splitting the cost of, living together by making life easier on each other. And yeah, we understand what life is like being a furry. We've all been there and done that. And so, I'll go to some party and I'll tell weird stories of what happened, and the roommates are just like, haha, yeah, I can't tell my mom that. I can't tell, Joe that, And so, yeah, living with furries is life-changing. You find yourself in a community, you're able to spread your wings and stretch out and be yourself more unapologetically than, other certain living situations can be. But it's stressful. Sometimes I do wonder if I didn't live with furries, if I wouldn't have gotten the certain traumas that I've had. I've had a rough few years, and while the pandemic was certainly a big part of that, so were the furries. We've had some trouble. I met someone and lost someone, and it's rough. But at the end of the day, you always trade. There's always a cost to whatever you do. And I think that living with furries, I think if I, went back in time and it's like, all right, now's your chance to not live with furries, I would choose it every time. Because I think the ability to be yourself is so important. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Is living with furries worth it? That's kind of up to you and kind of up to the furries you live with. But until next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.